'cause you'd be oh so easy to love.
We are here with Brianna Williams, who is playing Linda Porter in You've Got That Thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Linda.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone tells me you're the newest member to this production.
Yeah.
How have you found it?
It's been just a real whirlwind. So I moved to Melbourne about 3.5 weeks ago, and I auditioned for this part over Skype, and I sang over Skype to Annalisa, and it's just sort of just jumping in with both feet, which has been really crazy but really great at the same time. I mean, how else do you learn? Yeah.
And did you know much, or had you done much of Cole Porter's work before this production?
Not me personally. So I studied at WAPA about 7 years ago now, and certainly some of those classics were part of the repertoire class. But I have seen the iteration of this production that they did in Perth, 2 years ago now. So yeah, I had seen it, I knew about it, and I knew the show, but certainly don't know Cole very well.
Did from the preconceived ideas that you did have, has the show changed your opinion or heightened your liking, or?
Oh, it's the thing about the show is that it really gives you an insight into the historically who Cole Porter was, and just a really raw, rough look at who he was, but with enough sort of heart and love that it teaches you to sort of love Cole even more, I think, which is, I'm assuming, what the writers of this particular show would want you to come away with, is this like a real three-dimensional version of who this particular figure was, but with enough love for him still. Yeah.
Okay, now on that point of love for him, you play Linda Porter,
Yeah.
who was his wife, and I think they were married for something like 35 years.
Yeah. Crazy.
And I think it was her second marriage.
Yeah.
From memory. Yep.
Yeah. Look at you, research.
Based on that, how do you think she fares in the Cole Porter story? Because I always get the feeling that she's there, but it's awkward.
Well, it's kind of an interesting... there's sort of two ways you can look at what happens with Linda. I mean, she stays with Cole despite knowing he loves her as much as he sort of can, but without really ever, I suppose, fully being in love with her. And for that time, you wonder if there's a sort of a nobility and pride in what she's doing, or is it just, sort of a kind of a useless, unkind thing to herself to do. I think she fares how she fares. She wants to stay with him, and she does. But whether that's for good or bad, I think that's probably up to the audience to decide. Yeah.
Do you think her views on that change over the 35 years? So initially it might be one reason, then once he's had the accident, obviously there's a whole lot of other dynamics at play. Do you think there's that arc to her perception?
Yeah, I think so, certainly. I think Cole being sort of incapacitated not only sort of forces her, but almost allows her to move into a role where she has not more control, but more presence, and there's more of an affirmation to her presence in his life, I suppose. Mm-hmm. She knows then that he does actually need her, mm-hmm. which I suppose would be quite validating after spending so much time with someone. Yeah.
So what aspects do you try and bring out in her when you're playing her?
Oh, look, we've all loved someone who doesn't love us back. And so it's pretty easy to draw on those kinds of feelings when you're looking at this kind of role. But I think for her personally, I think she uses a lot of strength to stay with Cole, sort of despite these particular odds that they're working against. And that's what I'm trying to bring out in it. It's not a very... I haven't really done this kind of role before, so it's been really interesting.
Did you have a look at previous depictions? Like the one that comes to mind is The Lovely, where she was certainly portrayed in a certain way.
Yeah.
Through that story. Had you had a look at some of those as background? Or?
Oh, just a little bit here and there. As I said, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. But I saw the original production in Perth, as I said, and Pilar, the actress who portrayed her in that, was very still and very controlled, and so that's something I'm sort of inspired by to bring to this character. And
so what are the one or two favourite points or favourite numbers that you like getting to for your character in the show?
Right, yeah. Certainly the first one she sings, I've Got You Under My Skin, because it sets her up. And I suppose we look at, we all know I've Got You Under My Skin from the Sinatra version, but I'm enjoying sort of bringing a bit of a different flavour to the version I sing in the show that's a bit more, touches on something that's a bit more honest and present. It's not this kind of like fun ditty. Certainly So In Love, it's kind of, I think it's one of everyone's favourite. Every time they hear the song, like my singing teachers or whatever, they all go, oh, this song is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous song, and it's just so simple, and just the message is just they're so in love that they won't go anywhere, and I think that's really nice.
Certainly fits the way she's portrayed. I mean, she spent a lot of her married life in Venice or Paris, and so the traditional romantic cities, they sort of sit well with the character. Yeah, I suppose so. And I suppose at the time we're looking at, so it spans, sort of a few decades in the first half of last century. The time we're looking at, a romance was held in such a different light, and the portrayal of romance in musicals and movies was done so differently. I mean, now we sort of look at romance as, I guess celebrities breaking up and getting back together, but... It's almost cliche now. Yeah, kind of. It feels as though romance isn't something that people can define by themselves, but I think Linda defines romance in a way that kind of has a ripple effect. Like it's... Yeah, what she thinks is romance is what she creates with Cole Porter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think he had the same idea? It's kind of hard to know. It's funny, he's this kind of like never present but always present character in the show. It would be great. It would be kind of cool to see what he himself had to say about this show. I think, romance and love were two different things for Cole, but certainly there was a love there that was very profound between the two of them. 35 years. Yep. Yeah. And how are you feeling? Week and a half or so out from opening? How's it all coming together for you? It's pretty good. As I said, I've got a lot going on. I moved to Melbourne 3.5 weeks ago, and I know where my nearest Coles is now, so that's good. Knowing where the post office is, all those things, just finding out stuff about Melbourne and the show at the same time. So it's really exciting, and there's kind of a scale to what they reference in the show that's nicely juxtaposed against the very small set and the small cast and the small instrument. It's just the little piano and 3 people, and there's a scale, there's decades within it, and space, as you say, they go to these exotic locations, and I feel like it's nice. I'm in this big city for the first time, and it's kind of invigorating. Actually, on that point, it is a very intimate performance space. Yeah. The small stage and lovely small theatre and so forth. How much does that influence what you guys do in the performance? It's interesting you should say. I mean, a lot of performances I've done in the past have been sort of black box performances like this. And there's an intimacy between the performer and the audience member you might not necessarily get, which is kind of precious. It's really lovely to play with. And it's almost kind of a, what am I trying to say? It's a responsibility you have as a performer to sort of allow the audience to participate without forcing them to aggressively enjoy it or picking on them or anything like that. And that's something that we're trying to bring. I think the intimacy of the story is a offering to the crowd. Well, Brianna, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. And best of luck for the season coming up. And thanks. It's been a pleasure chatting with you this afternoon. Yeah, pleasure. Thank you.